find himself relegated to his national under-21 side the following summer, but that was Renato Sanchez's fate. And he's not going to start here for Bayern. Arsenal substitutes just making their way out. Certain degree of PR exercise being undertaken, of course, by the clubs. That's understandable at this time of the year, and also getting all those important sponsor messages across. Business side of it, very, very important. Nobody on either side, I think, can complain about how their clubs are structured in terms of the organisation financially. I was just watching Martinez, the young reserve Arsenal goalkeeper, towering young man. He'll have to bend down to get into that dugout there. So all set after the delayed start here in the Shanghai Stadium. The International Champions Cup continuing with Bayern Munich and Arsenal. Fervent interest, of course, in these clubs out here in Asia at this time of the year. Always great atmosphere and the allure and glamour, given the global nature of the structure of this International Champions Cup. Games continuing in coming days here in China and all across the United States. Arsenal, one of 5 English Premier League teams involved. There are 5 from Italy, with Juventus the champions, both Milan clubs, Roma and Sampdoria, PSG and Lyon of France, and the aristocrats of Real Madrid and Barcelona awaiting their bow. Elite company. The man who's won it everywhere he's gone, won everything pretty much against a man short of trophies in recent years. 2 of the major personalities of the last 2 decades in European football nonetheless. New kit for this tour for Arsenal and a new sponsor's message, which I'm afraid I cannot translate for you, even if I wanted to. A more traditional feel to this outfit for Bayern, certainly. I think it's called retro, isn't it? Anyway. Thomas Muller's going to captain Bayern, and it will be Peter Cech to captain Arsenal. And that will also confirm that there has been a late change to the starting lineup here for Arsenal, because Per Mertesacker was on the original team sheet, and it looks like he is going to sit it out. Not a time of the year to take a risk. Mertesacker, of course, a player who got seriously injured in pre-season last year. That may also explain the thinking there. Something of a goalkeeper shortage for Bayern. Manny Neuer and Sven Ulreich still working their way back to fitness, and all of those who featured successfully in the big international tournaments have been given additional time off. So no Joshua Kimmich, Niklas Süle, Sebastian Rudy, nor Arturo Vidal. But Corentin Tolisso is in, and so too James Rodriguez. Arsenal's travelling party to Asia and Australia a long way from full strength. This is the starting lineup, and it does include Alexandre Lacazette and the other high-profile signing of the summer for Arsenal, Sead Kolasinac, who has arrived on a free transfer from Schalke. But no Mertesacker, and that's a late change. Guanxing all set to get it underway here. Bayern from left to right in the Shanghai Stadium. So lots and lots of unknowns about how Arsenal's individuals are going to acquit themselves. And another fascination, Rob, will be to see whether they go with a back three or a back four, especially given the late withdrawal of Mertesacker.
Certainly, Arsene Wenger has said ahead of the new campaign that they'll be sticking with the formation that they ended last season with at Words and saw them play so well against Chelsea in the FA Cup final at Wembley. We have seen some of the defensive central midfielders slot in, certainly against Sydney in their first pre-season friendly. They didn't have enough centre-backs to really fill those positions, so I think even Francis Coquelin had slipped in to one of those at one point. I think Wenger will want to keep the system the same and try and get his players more and more acquitted to the start of the Premier League campaign.
Looks as though there's a job for El Neni at the back here today. Christian Bielek down the right side of what we think will be a three, and that ball from Czech was aimed in his direction. Looks like Ainsley Maitland-Niles will play down the right in that area there. That's his header. The 19-year-old Maitland-Niles in elite company here, certainly. A real feather in his cap, I think, after a tremendous spell with the England under-20s, the triumphant England under-20s who won the World Cup in May and June. He featured in every game, not starting everyone. Kolasinac. Coquelin went over. Back by Xhaka, and there's our centre-back of the day, El Neni. Who knew? Well, I don't think it was in the original plan. Ozil tangled with Bernat. Rafinha. James Rodriguez, over the top it goes, and no Mertesacker there, and Arsenal in a bit of a tangle. Lewandowski has it. Muller, Lewandowski again. Outnumbered in the end. Monreal got a little help from Kolasinac, who got there as quickly as he could and was needed.
Little moment of quality from James Rodriguez in that midfield position to pick out Lewandowski. He's taken the shirt number of Douglas Costa, who's departed for Juve, but very different players. And at times there was a, despite winning the Bundesliga title at a canter, there was a pedestrian nature to their play. Maybe James can change that.
Ribéry. Won back by Alaba. Rafinha on the recovery. The only boss to win the Champions League 3 times, and still Wenger waits. Only once has he truly been close. And in recent years, round of 16 is as far as Arsenal have been getting, most notably and infamously, of course, at the hands of Bayern Munich. The last 3 Champions League meetings have all ended 5-1 to Bayern. Twice last season. A 10-2 aggregate victory, which still smarts.
That defeat really hurt Arsenal supporters, you feel, because of its completely comprehensive nature, and only Alexis Sanchez really came out of that tie with any credit.
Ribéry trying to run on the outside of Maitland-Niles, twisting and turning him. overload this side. Seemed to be a hand in that. Hammers had the hit. He's 34, going on 18, this fellow, Frank Ribery. That's how he speaks about himself.
I think Bayern know they can't rely on Frank Ribery forever. Saw his quality there to find James for first real shot of the game. Ribery had an excellent campaign last season. Injuries have blighted him over the past 3 years.
And then he caught ball watching. Muller has a swipe at it. Little let off for Arsenal there. Did not get a goal last season until December, Thomas Muller, and it ended up with only 5 in the Bundesliga. Of course, he's got many, many other battling qualities, but what a come down it was after 20 the season before.
It actually seemed to run on from Euro 2016, where they had to start playing Mario Gomez up front. Germany just couldn't work out why Thomas Muller wasn't scoring. Became the assist king in the Bundesliga along with Emil Forsberg of RB Leipzig. But he'll certainly be looking to get into double figures this campaign, surely.
Lacazette trying to link with Maitland-Niles. He was loaned to Ipswich Town last season, Maitland-Niles. It's a common Arsenal trend, of course, to lend their young players out to clubs in the Championship in England, and the fellow in possession there now also had a spell at Birmingham, Bielek. Xhaka, Danny Welbeck. He's only 19, Christian Bielek, the Polish youngster. A little bit of room for Kolasinac. Loves to come forward. Ozil onside. Squared by Welbeck. Inviting for Xhaka.
First real move into the final third for Arsenal. Granit Xhaka from his time at Gladbach has a great record against Bayern, and he can hit them from distance. But at the moment, Bayern winning in terms of intensity of performance, and they're marginally on top 7 minutes in.
Xhaka with that very important goal against Manchester United late season. Here comes Bernat. He thought about having a hit, took on a lot then. Maitland-Niles has given a penalty away. Bernat was just too sharp and strong for him, for the youngster. Arsenal are contesting it.
Arsenal not happy here at all, Paul.
Niles, I did not touch him.
Good industry from Bernat to get into that position. There's not a great deal in it, maybe slightly clumsy.
Well, it doesn't look good for the youngster, does it? Didn't really look fully focused as Bernat came onto him, I have to say that. Lewandowski then. Powers it home and Bayern lead 1-0 here in Shanghai. They feel hard done by Arsenal. Lewandowski could not care either way. Czech went the wrong way.
He rarely looks in doubt with Robert Lewandowski. It's a superb penalty. Petr Cech couldn't read him. And the second top scorer in the Bundesliga last season. One of the best strikers in the world. Puts that away coolly, and Bayern, I have to say, have started very well and probably deserve their advantage. And questions remain about the penalty.
Lewandowski did get one as Ancelotti's Bayern featured in the Telecom Cup before coming out on tour. It's a pretty regular thing in Germany in July as the clubs return to training, and they just play 45-minute games against each other. He scored against Hoffenheim. The other game they played was against Werder Bremen, and Müller and Bernat were on the score sheet. Bernat's made a sprightly start, one way and another. Maitland-Niles and Bilek. Coquelin won't get there. Bayern, much like Borussia Dortmund, looking very physically sharp, and as you have already correctly pointed out, Rob, it's all a bit of a step up from games in Sydney, this.
Oh, without question, Arsenal were playing with possession at a relatively slow pace against those sides from Australia, and as soon as Arsenal get it anywhere near the halfway line, the pressing's intense from Bayern to turn over possession.
Floated ball forward by Alaba. El Neni. Kolasinac. I think we can say with certitude this is a back three that has never played together before for Arsenal, and that's got to be a concern when you're up against Frank Ribery, Robert Lewandowski and James Rodriguez, to name only three.
A real test for that makeshift Arsenal backline today.
Welbeck's ball in was a good one. That was a fabulous strike by Ozil, and it hit Tom Stark, and I don't think he knew much about it. If Ozil had been able to steer it either side, surely Arsenal were level.
Fine work from Danny Welbeck, who needs a full season fit, and he picks out the run of Ozil brilliantly up against many of his international teammates here.
Literally, Stark, what hit me? Well, the ball did, happily for Bayern. Ribery looks full of it, doesn't he? Amazing. No offside. Aimed at Müller. Checked it well with that, but it just keeps coming back to Bayern. James Rodriguez. Rafinha. Kolasinac stops the cross.
Big season for Rafinha. Philip Lahm retiring at the end of the campaign as first choice right back. Not enough pressure on Bayern when they do move it into the final third. Even Granit Xhaka was dropping off as they moved it towards the area there.
James Rodriguez on corner kick duty. Loves to take a free kick, of course. That will be something additional to the armour this season. Cech, I suppose, against a player of that quality, there is a great temptation. Who am I to talk to Peter Cech about goalkeeping? Great temptation to take a risk and go for it early.
He'll find the corner, so I guess you have to go one way or the other. Think back to the Champions League tie against Real Madrid. Arturo Vidal missing a penalty in a vital moment.
Yes, indeed. Season-defining game in so many ways. Arguably the game of the season, wasn't it?
Yep.
For football lovers right across the world, not just in Europe, but Real Madrid ultimately seeing off Bayern in a quite extraordinarily dramatic game. 2-1 both ways. Extra time. The late sending off of Vidal in the second leg, hurting Bayern so badly, and in extra time Ronaldo and co powered on. Not James, of course, he wasn't involved. In fact, James Rodriguez's last game in the Champions League for Real was against Napoli. Here he is in possession. I think then, once he realised he was being left out of those key games, stretch it had to be by Monreal.
Extraordinary moment where James was chucking the ball on his head. Couldn't even make the Champions League final squad against Juventus, the 18-man squad.
I think by then he knew, Rob. I think once, after that Napoli game, when he was left out by Zidane, he and his advisors said, well, look, I'm just so far down the pecking order. However well I do, I'm not going to get the chance. So he's decided to move on and It's not a bad collection of clubs if you look at it, since coming from Banfield of Argentina. 26 years of age, he's played for Porto, Monaco, Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. Ribéry. Looking very ominous here for Arsenal. One counter thrust by Özil, one hit over the top by Xhaka, but 4 or 5 openings already carved out by Bayern Munich. Rafinha and Kolasinac. Coquelin got there. Özil's ball over the top. Xhaka on the follow-up. Ancelotti put his arm in the air. He was onside, Lacazette, or given onside. That skill of putting the arm in the air, he learned that from Franco Baresi a long time ago. Stop, everybody, put your arm in the air. And basically they ran the game like that. Coquelin gets a free kick, no dispute, surely. A bite at him by Tolisso.
He's a tough midfielder, Tolisso. New acquisition from Lyon, something like 40 million euros to bring him from the Liga club. A dynamic midfielder, breaks forward, clever in possession, but also a tough guy too. And should Bayern pair him with Arturo Vidal, that's a couple of real bruises in the middle.
El Neni. Rafinha. He knew Kolasinac was trying to creep in round the back. Here comes Monreal. Kolasinac. Mesut Özil. Coquelin trying to snap in. As surprised as Tom Starker was when the ball hit him, that Özil chance, I don't think it's anything to the general surprise that he's actually playing for Bayern Munich at all. It's only because of the injuries to the top man, Manuel Neuer, and to Sven Ulreich, his understudy. Starker actually retired as a Bayern Munich player at the end of last season as the former third-choice goalkeeper. Bernat. Good challenge by Bielik. Starker retired as a Bayern goalkeeper, and then they called him and said, look, would you help with pre-season? The other veteran goalkeeper, Cech, gets in the way. James had the hit.
Very bright start from James, involved in a lot of what Bayern are doing going forward. And having had not much game time in the last couple of years, that's an early good sign.
Özil seeing plenty of it, that's always a good sign for Arsenal. Lacazette. Run back by Coquelin, that's his stock in trade, he's done it well there. And look at Monreal well forward. Özil. Monreal trying to creep even further forward. Lacazette denied by Starker. Got a little nudge cleverly from Alaba as well. Xhaka. Maitland-Niles wants it, and it's presented really a gift by Xhaka to Ribéry. And Coquelin wasn't going to let Ribéry get running again. All too prevalent, the yellow card for Coquelin. A commentator has said that before now, I think.
Comes with the territory for Coquelin, but he was very late there on. Front Ribéry, it was just too sharp for him. It was actually given away by Xhaka as well moments before that. In terms of a ball-playing midfielder, I'm not sure if the pair together for the start of the season is Arsenal's best option. Obviously, Santi Cazorla's been having his issues as well.
In a sense, Xhaka would be doing the right thing if he came over to him and said, I'll take that yellow from you, because it was his mistake. 6 in the league last season, yellows. Oh, sorry, 5 last season, 6 the season before, and 5 the season before that. Costs you games. And I don't think it would surprise anybody to know Coquelin was booked in the FA Cup final. Arsenal's best day, really, and for many fans, their best performance. Thomas Muller. Arsenal opened up, they're 2 down, except the only disappointment is that Tolisso was offside. Let off for Arsenal.
Regardless, wonderful weight on the header. Oh, it's a woeful decision.
Way onside.
And Bayern really should be 2-0 up. That was a wonderfully constructed goal, and Ancelotti, only a friendly, I'm sure he'll still be frustrated.
Mesut Özil. Danny Welbeck. Lacazette, twisting and turning. Gets a corner out of it. Off Hummels. Great noise here in the Shanghai Stadium. The support evenly spread. In the main, it is the Bayern supporters who've had more to cheer about so far. James Rodriguez. Coquelin did that well. Bielik. Kolasinac. A little bit of room for Mesut Özil to work with here. Alaba across to cover. Not right to focus too much on the players who are not on the field, I know, but just to confirm that among several of the young players on the bench for Arsenal here this evening, we do have Aaron Ramsey, David Ospina, but also Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and Theo Walcott. But in general, Arsenal not travelling with everybody they'd like here for one reason or another. 3 players the subject of transfer speculation as we speak. Kieran Gibbs, along with Wojciech Szczesny and Lucas Perez, sorting out their futures, not involved in the tour party. And the 4 who featured in major international tournaments still on holiday: Alexis Sanchez, Skodran Mustafi, Rob Holding and Hector Bellerin.
One player I would be excited to see at some point is Reiss Nelson, who I actually felt was Arsenal's best player in the first half against Sydney. Down the right-hand side, Arsene Wenger said that he will be part of the first-team squad this season.
Somewhere in there's a booking for Javi Martinez. So 2 yellows in a pre-season friendly so far, and nothing in the class of 1 or 2 of the clattering challenges we saw in the Manchester United game against Real Salt Lake, one of which led to the sending off of Antonio Valencia. And there were 1 or 2 enforcers from the likes of Jose Mauri for Milan against Dortmund yesterday in Guangzhou. Nothing in that league.
Lots of Milan players were involved in heavy tackles that day, including Fabio Borini, then who's signing from Sunderland officially on loan.
Quite right, that looked very naughty. It looked to us like a stamp on Marc Bartra. I just don't want to see it in a pre-season friendly, and you know, I'm a neutral commentator, so I'd be furious if I was a coach. That kind of thing happening.
You almost want to say something to the other manager about the intensity at which they're playing at. As I suppose they're trying to market this as a genuine competition with a team that wins a trophy, they're officiating in such a way that they are going to show yellow cards and red cards.
The problem was really that the intensity level was higher from one team, Dortmund, than it was from Milan, and it was frustration, it seemed to me. And there's a degree of that intensity difference here between Bayern and Arsenal. Martinez down.
I'm sure every Bayern supporter winces when Javi Martinez goes to ground. He has had his injury problems ever since he arrived from Bilbao.
Was there when he was needed last season, given Jerome Boateng's problems, in fairness. Strong campaign, stronger campaign after the injury problems. And the timing of that was good for him and for Bayern. This is the yellow card incident. He's had a word with the referee out of turn, hasn't he?
Even Martinez is surprised to be but for that.
Well, he turned away. He may not know that he was actually carded for giving him a mouthful. Willy Sagnol is the new assistant manager this season at Bayern, alongside Ancelotti. Sagnol, the Frenchman, played for Bayern, was at Bordeaux as a coach. Wenger, no changes. Plus ça change, plus la même chose. New contract, that's the only difference. The signing of Lacazette, his statement of faith. We did actually have a drinks break on the 30-minute mark yesterday in Guangzhou. Not as humid here, still very warm. Ozil to El Neni. The one positive, and you have to, I think, look at it from a positive point of view when you have a disruption like Mertesacker suddenly disappearing off the team sheet, is it may open the door to another player to show what he can do, and it may open the mind of the coach to say, well, look, El Neni, as an example, you know, El Neni, if he does well, that's a little plus for us today. And I think that did happen to a degree with Monreal a couple of pre-seasons ago. Well, they had to play him as a centre-back, and whenever he's been called on, he has done a respectable job in that area since.
It's the time of the season to learn these things, isn't it? Low-risk situation, but still against high-caliber opposition. And we know that the modern-day back three, there must be an excellent ball player in that lot. And El Neni is handy in possession.
Renat to Ribéry, Tolisso. One again, cut off by El Neni. Welbeck. Maitland-Niles. Ozil, Kolasinac trying to get in contact with him. Ozil took it on himself. He's moving well with it here, Ozil. That's an unfortunate slip for Monreal, but he's all right.
Little moment there between Ozil and Lacazette. When Lacazette was at Lyon, I thought he was best when he was playing little interchanges with Nabil Fekir in behind him. And I think for Arsenal, that's what I would want to be seeing next season. Ozil in a central position in behind Lacazette, so they can work those 1-2s and find space to score goals.
So, again, to use the commentators' phrase borrowed from cricket, it's time for drinks on the 30-minute mark. And time for the coaching staff to drum home the message. Ancelotti very animated. Where's the years and where's the cares of the job so well? This fellow amazing, 36, Starker. Said goodbye to everybody at Sabener Strasse at the end of May. 2 weeks later the phone rings, can you come back?
Well, he's done what's required when called upon today.
Petr Cech unable to keep out the penalty, but did get behind this from James Rodriguez. Alaba in at centre-back, incidentally, and Martinez playing in front of him. That's a little nuance today from Ancelotti for Bayern.
And Martinez has, I think, played once or twice in the centre midfield over the past couple of seasons. He's really turned into a centre-back moulded in that role, you'd probably argue, by Guardiola. Not as if they really need any additional centre midfielders with players like Kimmich. Plays there, Vidal, Thiago. All two return to the fold as well, but I actually don't think this is a million miles off Bayern's strongest 11 for the start of the new campaign.
I'll leave you to call Jerome Boateng or his agent and tell him that. In a World Cup year. No disputing that offside. Lewandowski.
That's trademark from Mats Hummels, that outside of the right foot pass that he can bend round.
Lacazette is in here for Arsenal, and he's denied by a brilliant stop by Starker.
Was almost certain he was going to bury that, Alexander Lacazette. There's the combination we've been talking about. And that threaded ball into Lacazette was spot on. Great goalkeeping from the veteran who, as you say, is filling in perfectly.
Wasn't a lot wrong with the attempted finish, really, was there? Lacazette had picked his spot. He'd almost got the ball past him, and in a very elastic fashion, the 36-year-old got his left palm on it. Ozil. That's Lewandowski's firm header clear. Last man is Maitland-Niles.
Confirmation, by the way, as well, Paul, that Saka has withdrawn due to illness ahead of kickoff, named in the original 11. And he was actually excellent against Sydney in one of those friendlies.
Ribéry. James Rodriguez, miss-hit. Going to be a corner to Bayern. Lewandowski went after it. Well, we wish him well, obviously, hoping it's nothing serious for Mertesacker, but I think most Arsenal fans will be relieved to hear that rather than an injury, given that all his injury problems last season started in pre-season. Lacazette charging back to help. James Rodriguez's corner. Martinez over the top. Going to include Alaba as a potential centre-back. It's an area where Bayern are laden with riches now. The addition of Niklas Süle, many people's idea of the best young centre-back in the Bundesliga, along with Martinez, the renowned combination of Boateng and Hummels.
It might be the best collection of centre-backs in Europe right now that Bayern have at their disposal. And even David Alaba, when the team sheet first came in, I thought he might be playing in central midfield because he's done that before too under Guardiola. And the options available to Carlo Ancelotti ahead of the new season are simply staggering.
All that having bade a fond farewell to two of the most decorated players of the last 15-20 years in European football, Lam and Xabi Alonso. Danny Welbeck doing his best to get his arms out the way.
Well spotted by the referee as Welbeck was about to break forward.
Alaba left it to Bernat. Ribéry, Lewandowski running in behind. I think he's trying to just help it on its way to Muller. A couple of wrong ones from this assistant this side already.
I think Lewandowski was actually on, and then once that's happened, we're into a new phase of play, and Thomas Muller was in an onside position here. A couple of dodgy calls from the official on the near side.
Welbeck was on. Lacazette with the foul.
Much like Bayern, Arsenal actually aren't too far away from the start of their season, with the Community Shield coming up against Chelsea, I think on August the 6th. I want to be feeling a little bit sharper ahead of that Wembley rematch.
Yeah, well, they'll first meet Chelsea in their next pre-season game, of course, and there's always a little bit of feeling between those two teams and two clubs. Then they've got back-to-back fixtures at the Emirates Stadium back home against Benfica and Sevilla the following weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Then it is the Community Shield, followed the following weekend by the start of the Premier League season against Leicester City. Home game. First three in August, followed by Stoke and Liverpool. Thomas Muller, deflection unchecked, did very, very well.
Really good recovery from Petr Cech, having already committed. But this is why they do all those quick, short recovery saves in training that you see that are so impressive. Decisive deflection, still one of the Premier League's best, Petr Cech.
And when not training, keep sharp by playing his drum kit. Certainly sharp then. Not prepared to go quietly, is he, at 35? And so keen to be a winner with Arsenal after all the success he enjoyed at Chelsea.
Had a very memorable night himself against Bayern in the Champions League final 2012, beaten by a Thomas Muller header, but we all know how that encounter in Munich ended up. Cech key to that success.
Bayern will never forget it. Tidy from Lewandowski, releasing Thomas Muller, who was waiting for the options to present. Ribéry, Maitland-Niles having a bit of a lesson off the venerable Ribéry at the moment. Bernat and Cech again, and another deflection on it. This time he goes the other way and keeps it out. Tolisso showing all that muscularity. The ball just squirmed away from Ribéry. Fortunately for Arsenal.
Yeah, they got away with a lot there. I mean, Maitland-Niles not playing in his number one position, but he showed too much of the outside to Ribéry for that chance for Bernat. And full credit to Petr Cech, who's keeping his side in the game at the moment.
Not one-sided. Arsenal have had a couple of clear chances, but 9-3 on shots. Ozil Kolasinac. Kieran Gibbs' future in doubt. Is the perception that Kolasinac is clearly going to be the starter, I wonder, and is that part of Gibbs's problem at the moment? All to be revealed in the coming weeks. Here is the former Schalke man. Wasn't a very good ball by him. Hummels read that all day long, or all evening long, here in Shanghai. El Neni has it. Fits and starts from Arsenal. Some promising build-up work. A lot of it involving Mesut Ozil. James Rodriguez working back. Wasn't too clever then for Kolasinac. Hummels. He's an absolute master of the ball, isn't he, Ribéry? Every touch. Muller will never have the same skill set, but presents a different set of attributes. James Rodriguez. El Neni not doing badly back there. Tolisso. On by Ribéry to Bernat. Rodriguez is free and nobody's really picking him up the other side of the box. That's where it's aimed. Made up so much time, Rodriguez, and yet again Peter Cech comes to Arsenal's rescue. How much time did James Rodriguez have before Arsenal woke up to that? That straight up check. He can't believe he's not scored though, James, and understandably.
You spotted him, the Arsenal defence didn't. And Petr Cech is having an outstanding game here. But more encouraging signs, while James perhaps should have scored there. He is central to a lot of what Bayern are doing at the moment.
Wenger looking a bit frustrated then. And understandably so. It was so obvious, even I spotted it. Same area. Thomas Muller this time. Lewandowski couldn't quite get on the end of it. Tolisso has the whack well wide.
Good end to the first half from Bayern. It was a spell they were Arsenal starting to get a little bit more comfortable. The weight on the pass was wonderful. The onside as well.
Sorry, Rob, I think the question should be aimed at Kolasinac. It's his job to fizz back in there. And would you believe he's about to be substituted? Reiss Nelson. Now, I wonder whether that is just a little reminder to Kolasinac immediately following that, or was the change to be made anyway? Bit of a coincidence, isn't it?
Yeah, strange one. I'm sure we'll hear more from Arsenal as to whether that was an injury or not for Kolasinac. Reiss Nelson, who was absolutely thrilling down the right-hand side against Sydney in their first friendly, really is an out-and-out winger. The two players they have in those wing-back positions, if we want to call them that, not really defensively minded at the moment for Arsenal.
Still the space is there for James. Nelson had a little check over his shoulder, and again, we have to exonerate Kolasinac if he was injured and could not get back there. That must be said. And hopefully, from Arsenal's point of view, it's not a pre-season injury for the new man. Ribéry, running track behind the goal, and I think it may still go into the crowd, that one.
Well, we saw their Monreal parking instructions at Nelson about where he should be defensively, because he was too central and probably a bit too far advanced. He's got some experience in his ear for the remainder of this game regardless.
Might it also be the case, it's all idle speculation of course, that maybe there's a bit of a bug around Mertesacker before kick-off. Maybe Kolasinac not feeling too good in this heat, 34 degrees. Ozil offside. Or was he?
Well, you could tell first time. You could tell in real time that the officials again have got that wrong. Bayern for people who are just joining us, have had a goal disallowed that should have been onside, well onside for Corentin Tolisso, who buried it.
Another significant piece of news for people perhaps joining us late, Rob. Serge Gnabry, who has prospered in the Bundesliga since Arsene Wenger let him move on from Arsenal, won't face his former club here. He is newly signed by Bayern after a great spell at Werder Bremen, but he has been moved on loan by Bayern to Hoffenheim as they look to get through their Champions League playoff. So he won't feature here today against Arsenal. A lot of Arsenal fans would have found the irony in that.
Absolutely. Outstanding for Bremen last season. Scoring for fun, creating chances. And for Bayern, who were heavily linked with him when he first left Arsenal, they eventually got their man, and under Julian Nagelsmann at Hoffenheim, Serge Gnabry surely will only improve in a very young, exciting team.
Well, one thing's for sure, he will be asked to work very, very hard, and maybe that is what Bayern are going to want to see from him to prove himself there. Relentless style of play, relentless training load.
They know that Ribéry and Robben are not going to go on forever, even though at times it looks like it. They have to be thinking about their future wide players, and Serge Gnabry, as long as he can stay injury-free, because he's had his injury problems as a youth player as well, he will be a future Bayern winger, already a senior international, having scored a hat-trick on his debut.
The one who is in reserve today is Kingsley Coman, who has been awarded a new contract. Perhaps coincidental, perhaps not, the departure of Douglas Costa to Juventus. Coman obviously will be itching to get out there at some point this evening. We know that Carlo Ancelotti really rates him. What about Ribéry? Every touch has been a good one. Here comes Thomas Müller. Ribéry goes again. That's fantastic from Ribéry, and what a fine piece of mopping up by Granit Xhaka.
You just had no idea how Bayern were going to work that 4 against 3 situation, and it was a wonderful surprise to see that outside pass. And James close again to getting on the score sheet here for Bayern.
Little change of pace by Ribéry, amazing. All bar the finishing touch. Well played, Xhaka. An awful lot of defending for Arsenal to do. Tolisso. Well, it's 1-0 to Bayern. It might be more. There have been chances at both ends, but a couple of really super stops by Peter Cech. A couple of questionable decisions as well to rule out what looked a perfectly good goal for Bayern Munich. And Bayern have been as businesslike as we expected them to be. Hard going for Arsenal. Not all one-way traffic, but in the physical sense, Bayern just looking that bit stronger and sharper at this stage of pre-season. It's still there to be won and lost, though, at half-time. The damage has been limited by Arsenal. Bayern 1, Arsenal 0.